righty. What's up, Ringside Nation? The Ring Boys are back, covering a very exciting fight night at UFC Vegas Apex 86. I know Artie's very excited for this one. Down one for the weekend. Doc's out hitting the slopes. But we do have his picks. Artie, how are we feeling about this card?
I'm looking forward to it. I cannot be more excited for a UFC Saturday. I live for this.
Super Bowl Sunday, UFC Saturday. Elon Musk rumored to be in the building for Jack Manson versus Joe Pyfer. Get straight to it. Ringer right off the bell, right out of the gates here. The boys got Joe Pyfer trying to get into the rankings here. Fun fact, at the UFC PI, there's a punching machine. He broke Francis Ngannou's record by like 40,000 something units. Ngannou's record was like 130K units. His was like 170. This is him coming off post 2 surgeries or something crazy. Old versus new. To me, I think this is a lock. And I think Artie, you put AI into this and you were like, yeah, AI told me Jack Hermanson was going to win. So I don't think that's going to be the case here. What are your thoughts?
I don't think it's the case either. The AI is crazy. I understand that stylistically they're a little bit different, right? We have Jack Hermanson, who is a very good wrestler. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's always going for submissions, whereas Joe Pyfer, I think, really his wrestling is more about just his pure power. So I think, and from that power too, he's an incredible striker. So exactly how you said this, changing to the guard, maybe more or less. I think Joe Pyfer will win. He's my lock of the card. But I am a little bit nervous because we have seen some of these fights where younger guys coming in to fight a veteran and they don't exactly take care of, business. And then we end up with a fight where you're kind of left questioning, was this maybe a little bit too high in the rankings for the guy to start off with? But I think we'll be okay. Joe seems like a very motivated person, and I'm sure he's been putting in practice to get this done.
He's been through a difficult camp, he said in recent interviews. And like when you have an injury and you're telling people in interviews, I thought my career was over, and you get a moment to come back to break into the rankings against, an old dog like Jack, you're going to live up to the moment in my eyes. And this is why we all think this is a ringer. Main event, Joe Pyfer. I think I'm calling second round knockout. I don't see it going any other way. Good bet. I don't know the odds.
I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I think Jack is way too smart, and given he is a veteran in the UFC and one of the, in my opinion, one of the best divisions in the UFC, and he's been there for a very long time. I think he's too smart for this to be like just a crazy knockout finish. It could always happen, but I do think this could go to a decision, and that's probably where I get a little bit worried, because I don't think we've all seen Joe fight for too many rounds because of his knockout power. So this will be interesting. It'll be a good fight. I'm glad they have this on here. I do think the odds are a little bit crazy.
Minus 260 or 290. What is it?
Minus 260 plus 210. So yeah, we'll see. It'll be a good fight.
Yeah, and also the other aspect, people always overlook his takedown accuracy, like 83% for Joe Pyfer. Like the boy can tussle. He's down to get down and dirty right away. So
he's just too strong.
He really is. So I think he outpowers. We all got Joe Pyfer defeating Jack Hermanson in the main event. And we'll have to see what happens. Moving along here, Dan Ige versus Andre Touchy-Feely. Andre Touchy-Feely obviously coming off that win. Really tough year for the boy. I think his dog passed away. He had another death in the family, and he said he was coming out in 2024. He wanted to fight early and often was verbatim what he said. I'm taking Andre Touchy-Feely here. I think Andre plus 140, great value. That hand speed is crazy. Danny Ige is a real bad man, but I don't know. I think I'm riding the Andre wave, and I think he's going to come in hot off that win. He's fresh to start the year, and I think he's ready to go. Thoughts?
I agree. Yeah, and I have Andre as well. And I think this will be a really good fight. I do believe that maybe at some point we're going to see some wrestling out of Andre. I think his length in the fight will really help him out. But I do think he will probably be getting a finish in this one, just because Danny Ige does not mess around. He is in there to get down, and this will be a really good fight. I'm glad this is the co-main for a card like this, so I'm looking forward to this one for sure.
Couldn't agree more. But this is not a ringer from the Ring Boys because Doc had to go and ruin it and take Danny Gay. So I thought we were starting an application for Andre Touchy-Feely to come into the Ring Boys fan club, but I guess there's one hater on board. So hopefully,
I mean, I don't blame him. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like Dan Ige he's kind of a different level of fighter. I know he said 13, but I think we all know he's a much better fighter than 13. So maybe that's why Doc took him. But I think Andre is just riding a wave. And I was listening to his interview on the pre-show, and he just sounds like he's zenned out. He's ready to go. He's not too worried about it. He said he doesn't care that he fought 6 weeks ago. He just wants to be busy. So that's exciting for a guy like him.
That's a really good mindset to have if you're saying you're going to fight early and often. So we'll have to see. I'm keeping my eye on this one. This is my potential fight of the night. I think we'll see sparks fly on this one. Moving along, Robert Brychek versus Ihor Poteria. Ihor missing weight by 2.5 pounds. He's going to get fined 20% of his purse. Both these guys, middleweight fighters. I think these guys also have pretty good knockout power. It's weird ESPN doesn't have Brychek's stats. I'm not too familiar with him, but I am familiar with Ihor Poteria, plus 135. That's my pick. I think he's taking the fight in the heart. He's going out swinging, and he's not going home with a loss.
I think you're wrong. I'm glad you don't know much about Robert Brychek because I'm going to be beating you on the picks for this card. Robert has 5 knockouts in his last 5 fights. He is crazy explosive. You should have watched the pre-show because this dude is the real deal. I think he's going to be good in the middleweight division. I think also for somebody like Ihor, missing weight might mean that there was some issues in camp. But I don't know. I think Brychek's going to get a knockout in this one. I think this will be a sparks fly type of fight. So I think a lot of the main cards kind of looking that way, but I'm excited for this one for sure.
Also, doesn't Ihor fight at light heavyweight? So he's coming down to middleweight. So being short 2 pounds isn't too crazy when you're cutting that much weight, and he's young. So he probably doesn't have a nutritionist. Similar to who was it on the last card that said, I got the win. I'm going to invest in a nutritionist.
Oh,
and then, yeah. So I don't know. I think that's a similar story. I think plus 135 is an interesting line. That's why I wanted to take it. He's got the height that doesn't have the reach advantage. And we'll see if Saturday night comes around. He's got the heart. And we'll come back on the post show and see who's right, who's wrong. Doc also taking
power, baby.
Doc also taking the Polish hammer. And we'll have to see who's right there. Moving along here. Another middleweight bout. A lot of middleweight fights on this one. Brad Tavares versus Gregory Rodriguez. I'm going to just straight up tell you guys right away, ringer from the Ring Boys. We're all taking RoboCop, so if you could hit that bell, please. Gregory Rodriguez, just an animal. I saw him on the card, and I was like, let's go. I didn't care who he was fighting. I'm just going to take him out of anyone we put him against. I'm probably going to do a Tony Ferguson like you do and pick him every time. The guy is in interviews and they're saying, you look like Obama, right? He goes, yeah, I know. My wife tells me every day. But we all got Gregory Rodriguez. I think this one might go the distance. I don't know if he'll be able to finish Brad Tavares. Brad Tavares is one really tough son of a gun. But yeah, we'll see. Artie, your thoughts?
No way this is going the distance right away. I'm just saying it.
Really?
No shot. Bet the under, hit the under. Do whatever. Yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised we don't see Gregory Rodriguez more. He's somebody who's very exciting. He's got like a little bit of a following in the UFC just because of obviously his looks, like you mentioned. But he's also a very exciting fighter. And at 14-5, at 31 years old, get him on the cards more often, man. Like we need to see guys like this more often in the UFC.
And he has a nickname that's awesome too. Yeah, I mean, after Brad Tavares took Weidman by decision, I know obviously Chris Weidman's not the same fighter he used to be, but that was impressive, and I think he has the smarts to go the distance. But I could see this definitely not going the distance, but I don't know.
Weidman could be in a wheelchair right now, so I don't honestly.
He's coming back, isn't he? Fighting this year too?
Yeah, listen. No, that's not like something to be celebrated. It's like beating up an old man, like the guy who could barely cross the street and just take his legs out. Like,
if he beats Bruno Silva in March, I can't wait for that episode if he actually does. But nonetheless, Brad Tavares, tough guy to finish. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. We'll have to see. But we don't see Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez losing this fight whatsoever. So this is a ringer for the Ring Boys. Moving along, lightweight bout: Michael Johnson, Darius Flowers. Two guys, another old versus new type of deal. I'm not too familiar with Darius Flowers. That's why I'm kind of taking Michael Johnson. I've seen Michael fight before. I didn't know Michael Johnson has fought this much. Like, he's fought almost 40 times. I was like, dude, like,
you wouldn't think of it that bad. Yeah, you wouldn't think of it like that because the record is a little different than usually what we see from people who have fought 40 times. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like him. I think he's obviously coming off a loss, getting knocked out by Diego Ferreira last year. But I think Michael Johnson, these lines are close. Like, I could have seen this being a pick'em, honestly. But I like Michael Johnson here. I just like the experience. So we'll have to see what happens. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Darius Flowers is young. And according to what I saw, his strength is much crazier than he would ever imagine. So he's going from 170 to 155. I think he's going to bring that power with him. Michael Johnson, being the age he is and with the amount of losses he's had, his chin has been tested. I think Darius Flowers is getting a knockout in this fight. So I'm excited to see this one. This will be probably a pretty exciting fight, like, overall. So it'll be pretty good.
We haven't seen too many knockouts this year. Last card, there was a bunch. Like, there were a bunch of finishes. The first few events of the year, it was like I don't even want to talk about Toronto, but there were so many decisions this year, dude. We got to start seeing some fun fights, or we're in for a couple of snooze fests until we hit like 298 and 299. So
yeah, I think that could be maybe the reasoning why we're seeing these fight night cards have so many young fighters on there, guys who are just coming off the Contender Series or pretty new to the UFC, because they have that fight in them. They want to make it to the UFC. They want to be good in the UFC. So maybe that's why Dana's throwing them on there, just hopes of, maybe we'll see more finishes and maybe the fights will be a little bit more exciting. So
we will. Hopefully we get a banger in this one as well. Moving along, the opener for the main card: Rodolfo Vieira versus Armen Petrosyan. When I first saw this, Armen was supposed to fight someone else. I forget who it was. I don't know if you remember, but that doesn't really matter. Armen is the underdog here. I really like the value. Armen Petrosyan is now actually minus 105 now that I'm looking at the ESPN lines. I checked yesterday. I put in a parlay personally, and he was plus 105 or plus 110. And I was like, okay, maybe a sneaky bet here. So I like Armen Petrosyan here. Big size, good on the feet, and I already smirking. So I'll let him try to prove me wrong here, and we'll go from this overall discussion.
I don't have to prove you wrong. This is a coin flip fight, as the odds have it, which I think is right. Rodolfo is a very, very, very good wrestler, and Armen's more of a striker. So I think, just given the history that we have in the UFC at the moment, where we see wrestling be so dominant, I think that's part of the reason why I was picking Rodolfo. Plus, a guy, at 185 being 6 foot tall, that means he is packing a lot of muscle. So yeah, this will be a good fight. Obviously, like I said, it's a coin flip. But
yeah,
I just wanted to be a little bit different and pick this guy out instead. So
I was gonna say, no Armenian love, man. Crazy out here. It'd really be your own. No, I really like Armen just because the same guy that's on the card that we just discussed, RoboCop. He's beaten RoboCop before. I definitely think having that on your resume strengthens it. Even if he was the favorite, I was going to take him regardless. So I had to get that bet in early. I think that's good value. Him and Andre Philly could be a sneaky 2-leg. But this is not a ringer from the Ring Boys, because you had to go ruin it and take the other side. No, just kidding. So Doc took, not Igor, oh my God, took Armen Petrosyan as well. So we'll have to see. Those are our main card picks. Moving along to the prelims here. Traven Giles versus Carlos Praetis. I always struggle with that last name. Carlos minus 260. Traven Giles plus 210. Artie, who are you taking in this one?
I'm just going with the favorite. I'm not 100% sure who he is. I don't think I've seen a fight from him, but usually when you have 4 inches of reach, that proves pretty well when you're a striker. Just looking at his numbers, I'm just going to assume that. So that's what I went with.
Yeah, I remember Giles fought Michael Morales and just got absolutely knocked out in the first round.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to fight Kevin Holland at one point, but that never actually came about. So tough to see.
Oh.
We'll have to keep our eyes on this one. This is a ringer from the Ring Boys. We're all taking Carlos Praetes, so we can hit that bell.
He's on the Team Fighting Nerds too, so I mean,
Carlos.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get some barking? We gonna get some glasses action? Oh my god, I might actually pay attention to this. I might have to twitch my luck of the card.
I've seen Trevin Giles fight, but I've never seen Carlos. But being on Team Fighting Nerds, we're gonna see something good out of this guy. So
I just love that camp because they always deliver, even if they lose. Like they lose in style.
Yep.
But this is his debut UFC fight. He was on the Contender Series, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, he can start 2024 off on a good note. Make the nerds look good. Toss on the glasses. Hopefully, do some barking like Jan Siva, and we'll see what happens. Moving along here, Balaji Oki versus Timothy Huamba. Balaji 8-1, Timothy also 8-1, Balaji minus 180, Timothy plus 150. I didn't know Timothy was this young, like 25 in the UFC. But Raul Rojas is an outlier. Like he's obviously as young as they get, but 25 I feel like is pretty young in the UFC. So I don't know. I don't know if his 8-1 is going to be better than the other dude's 8-1. So I think I'm going to take Balaji Oki here.
Yeah, I'm taking Balaji Oki as well. He won in Dana White's Contender Series, just like Timothy, but he earned a contract. Timothy had to go fight in Tough Enough, is what it was called. So both super young. I was watching the highlight from Balaji Oki of his knockout in the Contender Series, and that looked pretty serious. So I'm going to go with him just for that. Young guys, like I said, maybe we'll see a knockout coming out of this one too. And one fun fact, Timothy Kwamba's moving up from 145 to 155 and taking this fight on a short notice as well, which should be noted. But yeah.
Do you think that is a good thing at that weight size? Going up and bulking up normally gives you an advantage or a disadvantage in your opinion?
Disadvantage.
Yeah, especially in the lightweight division. There's so many killers trying to move up the ranks. Like,
yep, and I don't even know how to explain it. I feel like we talked about this not too long ago, guys moving up in weight and what that means, but that usually means you're able to pack on a little bit more muscle, and that way when you are losing weight to make weight, it usually is a good thing for you because then you come out looking, like Balaji Oki on one side. But moving up in weight, I feel like they're just packing on just weight. It's not muscle, especially in short notice as well. So we'll see.
Agreed. Couldn't agree with you more. And also couldn't agree with Doc because he also took Balaji Oki. So another ringer from the Ring Boys. Let's hit that bell. So far, we have 4, right? Yeah, 4 fights that we agree on, and we're going to continue it and make it 5 with Luma Lukbanmi and Bruno Brazil. Women's strawweight fight. Luma is minus 295. I thought that line was going to be a little higher. I saw some highlights on the side of Luma, and I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter who she's fighting. She's going to go. It was like who fought recently? Tatsuro Taira. I was like, I didn't know about him. I watched the highlights. I'm like, I wasn't familiar with your game. I respect it now. And hopefully Luma can make us look good, as this is another ringer for the Ring Boys. Thoughts?
Yeah, Luma's great. Like you said, I wasn't too familiar, so had to check out some highlights. She is super small, but this is 115, so I don't know. For somebody who's like her, she came out. I think she got a knockout in her last fight. Or a sub. Yeah, I mean, good enough. Listen, if you're doing things like that, why not bring her on? Like you said, ringer for the Ring Boys. So,
is she the only fighter from Thailand? I don't know if any other fighters. I love to see the diversity, but while you do a quick Google search, don't want to overlook Bruno Brazil. She is 1-1 in the UFC so far. She fought twice last year, and I'm not too familiar with her. She's obviously 5 inches taller. She has somewhat of a reach advantage, but at the strawweight division, the reach advantage doesn't really mean much because they're normally just going to throw shots on shots.
Yeah, I think you're right. She might be like one of two, maybe.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I personally love seeing fighters coming and representing their country, unless you're Azat Maxim ruining our parlays and ruining our picks and making us look bad. But yeah, it does. Who was the other fighter? Did you know?
The name was really unfamiliar. Let me take a look again. But while I'm doing that, she is a Muay Thai fighter, and that's probably why we don't see a lot of fighters from Thailand in the UFC. It's because they do just stick around and do Muay Thai. The other person is Thai Little Canaan Virat, I think is the name. No clue.
Interesting. We'll have to wait and see
no clue
if Thai ends up fighting this year for the UFC. We'll keep an eye on. Last thing before we move on, Luma Lukbanmi, a gold medalist in the FMA. So another cool stat to add to her resume as a 28-year-old. She just gets cooler and cooler. Like, I don't know what's going on here. But we'll definitely be watching her. That's one fight I got marked from my calendar, and I'm ready to watch. Devin Clark versus Marcin Brochino. I always mess that last name up as well. Devin Clark going to continue the streak. Another ringer for the Ring Boys. So we love that. I wasn't shocked at the line. Minus 240 for Devin Clark. I could have seen that being a little higher. Marcin Brochino is like just another. I feel like the Polish fighter as a template, like good strike. You know what I mean though? Like good striking, sneaky good wrestler. And it's like every time I don't know a Polish fighter, that's just normally like it's just like a Dagestani training camp. It's like if you can stand and strike is a question mark, but you know those guys can wrestle. You know what I mean? So yep. Marcin could be a sneaky guy. I'm not too familiar with him, but I am very familiar with Devin Clark. When you have a tattoo of like, I don't know, a moose reindeer thing on your chest, you got to fear that. So I'm taking him. You're taking him. Doc's taking him. And we rock light heavyweight. I think is this the heaviest fight? I don't think there are any heavyweights on this card, but we'll move along.
No, there aren't.
Cool. So that's actually the heaviest bout we have on this entire card. All right. Max, unpopular opinion. Max Griffin, Jeremiah Wells. I'm taking Jeremiah Wells. Max Griffin 19-10. Jeremiah Wells 12-3. I didn't know these guys were this old. Like, I was watching highlights from both of them. I was like, these guys are 38, 37. I was like, these guys look like such good shape. But a good welterweight matchup. I think this is another sneaky one to keep our eyes on. I know Max Griffin has knockout power. Jeremiah Wells as well. I think they could stand and really throw some big shots, and we'll be watching ringside. But who doesn't agree with me is Artie and Doc. What are your thoughts? Why'd you pick Max Griffin?
I think because he's a more well-rounded fighter. I think Jeremiah Wells is more of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist. You can kind of see it in his numbers, and that's just what I got from the pre-show, the way they talked about him. They said that he's pretty explosive, but he is kind of shorter and doesn't have the exact same reach as Max Griffin does. So maybe Max Griffin will throw in some leg kicks, keep the distance, and will defend some takedowns. So, that's why I went Max Griffin. But both guys pretty old for this.
Yeah, I was going to say 38, 37. I was like, you don't see that too often. Another light heavyweight. I forgot about this one. Zach Pauga versus Bogdan Guskov. I was really wanting to take Bogdan, and then I saw a couple of Zach Pauga highlights, and I was like, oh boy. All right, this guy is a cannon. So I'm taking Zach Pauga. I'm the only one who took him. Doc took Bogdan, and Artie took Bogdan.
Yeah, were you looking at his football highlights? Because his UFC highlights have been kind of mediocre.
I saw a clip of him knocking someone out. I swear.
I'm just kidding.
Might have been on Twitter. Hold on.
Yeah, he's a good fighter. I don't even see a knockout unless it's him being knocked out in his last 5.
He knocked
coming
out
off a loss.
He knocked out Muhammad Usman, and that's why I was like, oh, that's a big name to me. So I think
what? No, he lost to him.
What?
He lost to him. He might have knocked him down, but he lost to him by knockout.
Who did he knock out that I'm talking about?
I have no idea. You better keep doing your research.
All right, maybe I'm wrong.
Are you going to change your pick?
No.
Do I need to ring that bell really quick?
No, this isn't the fantasy draft. You don't get one take back seat anymore.
Bogdan also coming off a loss, but being younger, I think he's probably just going to be a little bit hungrier. And don't know too much about him. I know Zach Pogan, like I said, his UFC career pretty mediocre. So far, at least, he started off in the heavyweight and moved down to 205. But yeah, I don't know.
This is an interesting one now that you think about it. Zach Poga, no fight experience. Bogdan, no UFC fight experience, and he fought Volkan and lost. So
what?
I think
Zach Poga has been fighting for. What are you saying?
He's 6-2.
Yeah, that's not no fight experience.
But I'm saying like he doesn't get a ton of fight exposure. Like he's only been fighting since 2020.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
I'm saying it's an interesting one because it's two guys that are both MMA guys, light heavyweight. This isn't me trying to beat casual allegations at this point. I don't know either of these fighters. I'm owning up to that right away. It's interesting to me because when you get an NFL guy or like a Greg Hardy type, you don't know what they're capable of.
Oh, no, don't compare anybody to Greg Hardy. That's disgusting.
That was a joke. Gosh, I'm never making jokes on this podcast ever again. All right, I'm thinking Zach Poga. He's going to win. I'm going to come on here. I'm going to make fun of you. Featherweight fight. Fernie Garcia, Hyder Emil. Hyder Emil is my lock of the card. 8-0 undefeated. I think he has an octopus for a tattoo on the shoulder, and I cannot wait to see him throw his tentacles and get this win and go to 9-0. Dude, I was waiting 2 days to say that. I'm not kidding.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm glad I haven't heard that before, but I have Hyder Emil as well. Fernie Garcia, 3-loss streak. Being that young, doesn't have the reach advantage, being a little bit shorter. Hyder Emil all the way, baby.
Lock of the card for me, a ringer for the Ring Boys, and we all got Hyder Emil. Moving along. I think, we also missed this. Daniel Marcos, missed weight, tried again, made weight. He was only 0.1 off, but like, I don't know why that really had to be reweighed. If you missed by 0.1, it's like, all right, come on. Unless it's a championship fight, you really should. It's the first fight of the fight night prelims. Are we really concerned? Like, USADA really just left like a vibe that's like, nope, we got to do everything by the book now. But anyways, bantamweight fight, Daniel Marcos, all of us got him. Ringer for the Ring Boys. Or actually, no, I misspoke. No. Sorry. You and I have Daniel Marcos, right?
Yep.
You and I have Daniel Marcos, 15-0. I like that. Undefeated fighters on the prelims normally win most of the time, unless, as it Maxim.
Yeah, and listen, when you're starting off the card, usually there's a reason. Dana doesn't just pick anybody to start off the card. This is probably, if you're in the prelims, one of the more honorable spots to be, if you're either starting it off or closing it out. And I think there's a reason. Daniel Marcos is very explosive. I've seen some highlights, like you said, being 15-0. Just I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure how to say the other fighter's name. You go ahead.
Let me try. Aori Kleng.
Coming off a win as well. So I don't know. Just one of those fights. Maybe we'll see some crazy stuff. The guys will probably be throwing down, so I'm looking forward to it.
Before we end the show, now I need to know how you say his last name. We're gonna come.
That's his last name.
It's just no. It's not. The Mongolian Murderer.
Oh my god!
That's such a good nickname. Hold on.
Aoriqileng.
Yeah, there you go. Google doesn't even know. So we're here.
How to pronounce .com's confused. But nonetheless, Those are your fights for UFC Vegas 86. Elon Musk rumored to be in the building. I don't know. We're not too excited for this card. I'm really excited for Joe Pyfer. I'm really excited for Andre Fili and Armin Petrosian. I'm surprised and shocked Artie didn't take Armin Petrosian. Also, Doc's lock of the card. Just to reiterate, Ihor Pretoria misses weight, 20% fine on his purse. What was his name? Flowers. Darius Flowers missed weight. They let him do it again. He made weight alongside Daniel Marcos, who missed weight and tried again, made weight. Just in case no one heard Doc's picks, he has Joe Pyfer, Danny Ige, Robert Brechek, Gregory Rodriguez, Darius Flowers, Armin Petrosian, Carlos Prayates, Balaki Oki, Luma Lukbanbi, Devin Clark, Max Griffin, Bogdan Guskov, Haider Emil, how to pronounce.com's failure, and Petrosian's is locking the card. Artie, anything else before we sign off here? My God.
Please let 298 be good. This is like so far this year, the UFC has just been kind of mediocre in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, there's some good fights on here, more or less. You know, I'll still watch because it's the UFC and it's a Saturday. But man, am I looking forward to 298, 299? Those are going to be so good. That's all I have. Hit us up on the social media. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube. Give us a like. Stop
texting me. Start commenting. I have so many people texting me, giving me feedback. I'm like, go show us some love on the socials. Like, come out to your show, boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree. I'm upset. Ikram got scratched from 298. That kind of hurt. But 298 mid card.
I am too. But
yeah.
Roman
Kopylov, perfect replacement.
Listen,
perfect.
Yeah, 100%. That dude's a dog. He needs to be the top 15, so I'm here for it.
Couldn't agree more. And hopefully he wins, then we put him and Ikram against each other.
Oh. That'd be tough. I don't even know who I would take.
Dana, call me up.
I don't know who I would take. That would be a flip or
that would be a pick 'em for sure. -110 across the board there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I throw out matchups and they're either really good or really bad. There's no in between with me at all. But anyways, that's your card. We'll be here for 298 next weekend. Hopefully Doc will be around. We'll see. And yeah, you gonna make an early prediction, Volker Topuria? Or are you gonna save it? You're gonna save it. You're gonna save it.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Super Bowl Sunday. Probably gonna be recording Monday. Late post show. If he already even wants to be on the post show for this one, I'm really just not excited. I'm really not excited for this card, to be quite frank. But nonetheless, content is content. We love you, boys. Peace. I swear, if there's more than like 7 decisions on this card, I'm going to be